Greetings, people. Hi on a Saturday morning, and this is Saturday Morning Marketing Smarties. My name is Roland, and I am joined today by Karen V. Chin, who is one of my two co-hosts, and hopefully Molly Youngblood Geiger will join us. Say hi, Karen. You want to give us the taste of your voice this
Hi,
morning?
everyone. It's Karen out here in a cold, damp San Francisco Bay Area. uh, it's that time of year. Roland and I were actually in the green room talking, and as we're waiting for Molly, I have to show you what I'm wearing because it cracked him up. I thought I'd give everybody a smile. So I've got one of these lovely, I don't know, it's a French Bulldog sweater. And I saw it. I had to get it. It cracks me up because, if you're going to wear sweaters, you might as well have it kind of festive and silly during this time of year to kind of keep your spirits up because it's just kind of dark and murky and just rainy. So anyway, that's kind of me. I'm a marketing consultant out here in San Francisco, as I said before, and many times. And I am so excited to talk today, Roland, about what we're talking about. Mobile, I think, right?
Yeah, but if we can get over the initial production here of the day that Karen Chin exposed her upper torso between her shoulders and her waist live in front of the millions. So you never know. It could go viral for the first time.
It could
Smarties
be,
going
right?
viral. Anyway. All right.
Okay,
That's
stop.
cool. And we are joined by Molly. So, Molly, we're just having a laugh fest here. And I don't know if you got to see Karen's shirt or not. You might have to do it one more time just so that Molly is not left in the dark. And let's see if Molly comes on in a moment. But we'll let her introduce herself when she comes on. And we'll talk about briefly if we can transition into our actual subject. Oh, there's Molly.
Hey guys,
How you doing, Molly?
I had a little technical difficulty getting on today, but I finally made it.
Okay, good. So let me ask you: did you get to see Karen's special production where she actually exposed herself to the world between her shoulders and her waist?
No, I did not.
Now see the stunned effect that we've had already. So Karen, you've got to do it one last
Okay.
time so the Molly's not left in the dark.
So Molly, as I was making my introduction, it's kind of cold, damp, and miserable out here in San Francisco Bay Area for the past week, and so I needed to go, I guess, impulse buy a sweater, and so I bought one of these. It's kind of like you have to keep it kind of fresh and kind of, keep it kind of friendly, right, during the holiday season. So when people walk by and they look at you, they go, "Okay, what is that on your chest?"
Love it.
Okay, so Molly, go ahead and tell the world who you are.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Molly Youngblood Geiger. I'm in Jacksonville, Florida. The name of my agency is Design Right For You. Participate with Google on several different platforms. I'm a Google Partners Community Ambassador. I'm also a rising star in that community. I'm also a Google Small Business Community Advisor, and I'm also a rising star in the Hangout top forum.
Okay, that's why we call her the Google lady. Now, through all the laughter, I don't even remember whether we gave you a chance to say the same, Karen, but you want to give more of a lowdown on what you do or tell more about your personal subjects? Other than your dog.
Actually, I did mention it between the giggles. I'm a marketing consultant up here in the San Francisco Bay Area. I guess in the Google part of it, my claim to fame is I actually am a Google local guide. I'm a level 5. I'm a moderator out here in the San Francisco community. So if you have any questions about what to do in the San Francisco Bay Area, I'm your person.
Cool. That's really good to know. And if you're ever going to consider traveling to the West Coast in San Francisco, by the way, they hate it when you call it Frisco. By the way,
Oh
San
yeah.
Francisco. If you're ever traveling to San Francisco, look up Karen and ask her for some tips on restaurants and sightseeing and all this stuff because she's really well versed with that.
Yeah, I mean, if you actually join the local guides community in San Francisco, I'm again one of the moderators, and we're always answering people's questions about what to do, especially out of towners, of what to do in terms of being a local in the Bay Area.
Sorry about that. I'm setting up my multiple screens so I can monitor what's going on in the field. And I want to take the time to say hi to Carl Turacek, Bill Graham, who also came to us from the blab that we were having a half an hour ago, and it was a really good experience. We had a great blab. I'm learning that the platform has a lot to offer, and I'm probably going to be incorporated into our own campaigning and support of the Saturday Morning Marketing Smarties to have a blab before the Hangout itself. So we met some people. I got to add a guy named Roy to my list, and Roy is from Mumbai, India, I believe. And so we're reaching out, and these various tools, combining Blab and Hangouts, are really they're overlapping well and they're blending in. So Roy Oliver from Mumbai, I welcome you if you ever get the chance to come watch the show. You've been mentioned on my show before you even appear. And also, let's see, Carlos Savio is out there, and Randy Smith is out there. Thank you guys all for showing up. And of course, as the show progresses, I'm going to, oh, and Lowell Ann is there too. She was also in the blab with us. So we had a conversation even before the Hangout show started, and I'm primed for this subject, and I've got so much to say. And will probably continue my blab concept in my own show. But anyway, what is the subject today? The subject, as announced, is basically ZMOT, and also we want to talk about the truth, the very truth about, what is it called again? Can't even remember my own title.
Micro moments. Micro moments
Micromoments.
is the 0 moment of truth.
Right.
With ZMOT.
So the concept that we want to carry forth right now is we can dish out a lot of statistics, but unless you know what a 0 moment of truth is and the acronym ZMOT, unless you know what that is, and unless you know what micro moments are, this conversation won't mean anything to you. So let's. I'd like to turn it over to my two co-hosts and discuss exactly, first of all, what a ZMOT is, and then I might add a little bit to it. But either one of you can start, and we're going to define a ZMOT for the world here.
I'm just going to go ahead and jump in, and what we're really talking about here is the customer's journey. What happens to a customer whenever they go online, whether it's from a desktop, laptop, or mobile device. And so what we want to do is Google, the Google Partners community, they've had several what we call our Google Connect events, and they've had these live hangouts from the Googleplex where they've explained, what is a 0 moment of truth, what's a micro moment, what happens when that customer is on a journey online and they make that decision to buy. And so what happens is when a user goes online and they're researching, say, a product, or maybe they're Christmas shopping, or they're looking for a certain product for themselves, we want to understand what exactly is the psychology, what's going on in the user's mind whenever they go through that experience. And studies have shown that most of the time, most shoppers, they don't buy the very first time they go do a search. They do a lot of research. And that is one of the beginning pillars of the 0 moment of truth. So what happens, we have something that's called remarketing. It's something we use on the average platform, and it's really something that can be used across several different platforms of marketing. But what happens is when we use remarketing, it reminds the user that they visited our particular product or our particular service. And so what happens is once that customer, they go back, they may shop 2 or 3 times to decide, well, okay, I'm ready to buy. And when they make that decision to buy, that's what we call the 0 moment of truth. Now, what happens along the way are micro moments. Micro moments are different things that happen to a buyer whenever they are making the decision to buy. A micro moment, a good example would be, say somebody's shopping for a red t-shirt. I'm just going to use that. And they're not sure what brand to buy. Well, whenever they decide on a particular brand, we call that a micro moment, because that person, they didn't make a purchase yet, but they made a conscious decision to go with a certain brand. So there's all different types of micro moments that happen. We can get into that conversation later on, but just as a general overview, a micro moment is something that happens along the customer journey, and then the zero moment of truth is that final moment when the customer decides, okay, I'm ready to make a purchase. Something that the Google has recently shared is that mobile usage has now exceeded desktop. And I think that's a really important thing for marketers to know, that instead of just optimizing a website or AdWords campaign for laptop or desktop, we now need to consider our mobile audience. In fact, my brother recently, he works for Toyota Southeast Campus here in Jacksonville, and he displayed a brand new vehicle that has what they call a mobile office. And I think the fact that a car manufacturer is now designing automobiles to where they're going to have these mobile offices is a real key indicator that people are on the move. They're trying to run their business and at the same time work, but along the way we still have to keep our customers in mind. And along what we were talking about earlier about the zero moment of truth, we have to, as marketers, we have to decide, or we have to figure out, well, what's going to convince a buyer to buy? What can we do with an AdWords campaign, or what can we do with a landing page, or what can we do in terms of analyzing data with Google Analytics to determine what is that zero moment of truth for people?
Thank you. And something I wanted to clarify, because I had a little different understanding, or at least an additional understanding regarding the ZMOT, and that is that when the buyer decides they want to buy, they don't actually buy right then. Now, they say that when the buyer has decided what they want, or this is my understanding, if they reach the zero moment of truth, this idea that I know what I want to buy. I'm finally convinced that this is what I want. And they latch onto that. They still research 12.2 other resources before they put their money down. Is that actually the truth?
Yes, during a recent Google Partners Connect event for home services, that was one of the numbers that they brought up, was the number 12. They say on average, and this is even for people shopping inside a store, they will go and research a product online to see if they can find it at a better price. So that is a very valid number, the number 12. Number 12 is a representation on the average number of times the user or shopper goes out and they research a product to see if they can either get a better price or a better brand, or determine if they can find the same product at a different location and get a better deal on it.
Thank you. And so the takeaway from this segment of Smarties is the zero moment of truth is important because people are deciding what they want to buy. But the thing to know about it is that their buy doesn't happen on the spot. There is still an additional process before people put their money down. So we really have to understand the actual overall process of how they buy. Now, when you have the zero moment of truth, that's a landmark stop in the journey of buying and consumer generation. But we have to understand that prior to the ZMOT, that starts the important part of our campaign is the relationships, the nurturing, and all the preparation, the educating of the people as to what our product is and how we handle our customers and what kind of support we offer and all these things, which can't be done in a simple ad. And that's why the traditional advertising is insufficient to start putting our product or service in front of people and saying, here, you want to buy this? It's great stuff. Well, now they're going to turn around and say, well, is it actually great stuff? Do I want to even consider this product or service? So the people are skeptical, and nowadays they can definitely return back to the internet and find out and convince themselves one way or the other if they want to buy your thing. So that's to understand this is all prior to the ZMOT. When they get to the ZMOT, they're convinced, yes, I want to buy. And if it's not a specific thing as far as a brand and a model number and so forth, it's still, yeah, I have to have that article or that thing. This concept solves my problem. It's the solution to what I'm searching for. And then when they reach the ZMOT, they're going to research 12 more resources before they buy. They're going to convince themselves they want it, and then they're going to reconvince themselves exactly what they want to refine, the refined concept of their actual expenditure. So there's a lot going on with the process of the journey, and this helps us put it into perspective to understand exactly where the ZMOT fits in. Karen, did you have something to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say that when you're researching 12 times, it doesn't necessarily mean you're doing it all online. I mean, when you think about how you are searching for something, you're searching you're searching online, but also you are searching for recommendations. And the recommendations now are coming to where it used to be your friends, your family members. But now when you're searching, you're also looking online to trusted sites like a TripAdvisor. If you're looking for a hotel, you want to see whether or not that hotel that you're looking for in particular is the right one for you. Same thing with if you are looking for places to eat, whether you're looking through local guides, or I mean Google Maps, or you're looking through Yelp. Again, you're researching. And what we're finding also too is that back to home services is that businesses themselves, only 24% of them are actually have a fully mobile friendly site for a customer to actually, when they actually do that Google search for looking for those red t-shirts, would actually show up. And so that's kind of where the change is going to happen in 2016. I mean, they've said in the past it's mobile, mobile, mobile. It's again, I think even going so more so because, as Molly mentioned, we are going from searching just on desktop alone to now also mobile. So we're kind of doing multiple things, and it goes also back when you look through the types of people who are doing the searches, and now they're saying through Google that millennials are, as of 2013, over 13 million households are now run by millennials. They are surpassing the Gen Xers, which I am. And they're saying by 2018, that number is going to jump to about almost 22 million households. And how they're basically searching is online, whether it's desktop or mobile, but they're searching. And the whole point I think we're trying to beat home to is getting yourself prepared, not just in a traditional marketing sense where it's flyers or direct mail or however you do that, but also what you do online.
Yep, this is great information, and it gives us a good picture of the overview for marketing. Because as you said, you may still want to send out postcards. You may still want to advertise in a newspaper. I personally, I don't know why, but you may
Mm-hmm.
take out magazine ads, and you might subscribe to certain institutions that direct mail to groups of people. That's still all viable stuff. But to do any one thing and expect great results is probably the wrong strategy. So the strategy that we're building the picture of here is it has to be a well-rounded, farther reaching, stable platform that catches people regardless of where they turn. If they're approaching the zero moment of truth and they're researching you and they run into you, you want them to be able to return to you. They want and you want to have a stable relationship so people can feel like that you're communicable, that they can get answers from you, and possibly consider your products. And all those things from the concept of mobile first. So,
Well, yeah, and then one more thing about when they're actually searching for you is Google also has stated in terms of their research is that over 60% of people will drop off of a site within a minute if they can't find your site in terms of it being mobile friendly. So if you're not mobile friendly within 60 seconds, I mean within a minute, excuse me, they're going to drop off.
exactly. And I've said it time and time again. I'm not real big on statistics, but these are statistics that I consider. And for one thing, that we gleaned out of the video that we watched about the Google Partners Connect, and that was that only 21% of small businesses have a mobile optimized responsive design website. 21%. So that's basically 4/5 of the people watching
Mhm.
this program, or the 4/5 of the people who might want to watch this program, don't have a responsive site, and that's the starting point of having a website and be marketing online, is you have to have a responsive presence. So, that's an indicator of how far the masses are behind their own marketing. So everyone's saying gee, how do I get on first page of Google? Well, your non-responsive website isn't ready for Google, so I wouldn't spend my money putting on page one and investing in marketing and that nature until you get your platform right. And so there are certain considerations that you should start with if you're going to progress on to a good campaign in marketing today, and that is one of them. So it astonished me that 79% of people don't have a responsive site yet.
Actually, it's amazing when you think about it. I don't know what if for you, but I had a roof that was leaking, and I actually did a search in the month of September to get that roof fixed. And honestly, in my area, and I live in a pretty tech-oriented part of the world, I couldn't find anybody. A lot of the roofers don't even have websites yet. So when you actually do a Google
Wow.
search, that to me is amazing when you think about it. And then you kind of have to like find friends who've had roofing jobs, and then find those folks. And to me, those are lost opportunities where if there was a roofer out there who actually had an active website and that was mobile, how much business they would have. I mean, how much lost business could that be?
I actually have some insights on that. Just as of recent, I picked up a pretty large franchise, and he is a home inspection franchise. So they have thousands of locations across the United States. And he said to me, this is the general manager. He said, he goes, some of my contractors, they're doing great. Their website's mobile friendly and they've got business. And then I've got others, they're just they're just not there. They're just not on page one, and I don't know why. And so he actually sent me a link. I think it was Thursday. It was Thursday, and I did a quick SEO audit on it, and I found, well, there wasn't hardly any metadata on his website. And I emailed him back, and I'm like, well, I just did a quick review, and you're missing a lot of metadata. There's no description. There's no keywords being used. There's no site verifications. There was a lot, and there's no canonical links. It was like, well, no wonder, no wonder he's not getting any traffic, because the search engines, there's nothing there for them to read. And so, I explained to him, said, this is what we do to optimize a website for search. Is we go in and we do these site search engine verifications and metadata and Facebook tags, and Twitter cards, and all this stuff, so the search engine has something. And I said, even then, you got to understand, there's billions of websites being indexed. This is not something that's going to happen overnight. This is going to take, and I tell those people on average when I optimize a website, it's going to take between 3 to 6 months. And I said, even then, I've had clients where it took a whole year before their website finally, showed up on page one. And I said, that's why we have to come up with a different strategy on, well, what can we do during the interim to get some exposure for the business. And that's usually where I'll recommend AdWords or social media marketing. Those are both effective ways, but even with social media marketing, it's kind of like with search engine optimization. It's something you have to work on. You have to build it. It doesn't just happen overnight. So, but I wanted to go back to what Karen is fond of talking about, which is customer engagement.
Whoops, we had a freeze there. While we're waiting for Molly to return.
With people who are trying to approach them online. Reviews are a great way to engage with people, to ask for them. Testimonials, video testimonials, these are all things, responding to customers, having maybe a hangout where you do a Q&A session with your current customers. These are all ways we can engage with our audience and try and get the word out about our business.
Cool. You did drop out for just a few seconds there, but I think that you got your main point across. Thanks, Molly. And back ways we were talking about the ZMOT. Bill Graham had a really good point, which I want to show right now. He says, good point, Roland. Without the relationship, the ZMOT for you can go two ways. The first is when they decide to buy from you. The second is if they decide not to. So that gets back around to the fact that I've been teaching this from day one with the Smarties, and that is, first, analyze your product and your service and how good is it. Do you deserve to be on page one of Google, or is that just a mockery of the fact that we can do so even if you have a lousy product or service? So we really want to concentrate on what we do first and what it is we offer first, and then talk about your marketing. So a really good point, Bill. And the decision from the ZMOT can go both ways. If the people decide that they know exactly what they want, you may not be their choice, in which case your advertising went to hell because you've been advertising the wrong thing and been supporting it improperly, don't have the best product, don't have good service, have lousy support, and this type of thing. So those are things that you have to think about before you advertise. What is your product and how do you support it? We want to say hi to Kathy Pop and Dr. Margaret Aranda and Nathan Siegel, some of whom were in the lab with us before the show started. We were having fun before we got here. But thank you very much for showing up and for commenting on. I had more statistics for you. Roland, the non-statistic guy, has more statistics. It's hard for me to even say that word, statistics. I have to prepare my tongue for that when I'm going to say it.
Hey, Roland, weren't you a math major?
I started out a math major my first year in college,
Yeah.
and I decided I hated it so much I became a recreation major, and here I am. So, yeah, I was a math major. I scored really high on these various tests, and the coordinators and counselors took a look at my scores and said, "You should major in math. You've got a future there." And so I said, "Okay," and I went into college, took a couple of courses, and I hated it so much. I mean, I got hung up on a statistics course, and also a business law course. And the two were so disheartening for me that I actually walked out of my instructors, but I told them why I was leaving before I did. So that's Roland the Rebel speaking. But back to the statistics I had to present. I found these. Thank you for that, Karen. Thank you for that little sidetrack. Now that people know more about me. The statistics that I wanted to expose and consider, not because of the statistic itself, because of what it indicates. And that's what I like to derive from statistics, not just a number and get wide-eyed and is surprised at the statistic itself, but what does it mean and how does it change our thinking? So that's what I'm concerned with. By the way, there are a lot of great comments going on, and I'll review comments, and we'll all review comments after the fact, but we're not going to catch them all live right now because it's going too fast, and we have so much to say. But anyway, the statistic. 86% of consumers that land on a non-mobile friendly website leave. Now that's the first one. Okay, 86% of people, consumers, that land on a non-mobile website leave. Now this is starting, it's indicating that the people are looking for your product. So if they land on your site because they're looking for your product, it's a pointed search. It's not an accident. It's not a walk by. It's not a window shop. The people are searching. They land on your website. If it's not mobile friendly, 80%, 86% of them are leaving. Now the additional figure is this: 67% of those who leave seek a competitor's website. Now what does this indicate? To me, this says that 86% of the people looking for your product may leave if you're not responsive and if you're not mobile friendly. Now, of those people who leave, 2/3 of them go elsewhere, still looking for the same product, probably to buy. So you're actually losing potential customers who, if you had a responsive site and if you had a mobile friendly site, they could have bought on the spot. So you're losing people because of this non-mobile friendly website. So if you have a non-mobile friendly website, the chances of you having lost business already are almost 100%.
Well, I mean, really, when you think about it also, too, it's kind of common sense. I mean, if you think about your own personal take on just going online and even looking at YouTube. I mean, with YouTube, they say basically if you can't catch someone's attention within the first 3 seconds, they're going to drop off and go somewhere else. I mean, so you basically have to get your message across within 3 seconds. 3 seconds. I mean, that's that's tough now in terms of getting your message across, to tell to tell the world what you do, what you sell, and how you are better than anybody else.
Yeah, I think that's a real good point. I would like to. My take on this is a little bit different, but I agree that you have 3 seconds to get people's attention, but you can't possibly get the entire message across in 3 seconds. But what you can do is produce the the interest in what you're saying so that people will listen beyond the 3 seconds. And so you introduce something, you get the shock value of 3 seconds. I'm going to tell you blah. And then if it's right on, you can say, because what you're going to learn from this is blah, blah, blah. You could take 8 to 10 seconds finishing that statement, but if you don't have them in the first three, you'll never get to the bottom end of your statement. So the initial 3 seconds is an impact point where you have to grab people's attention, and then you've got about 10 seconds to get the initial, here's what you're going to learn from this video before the video starts. And that's my understanding. Molly, did you have something to add?
Yeah, well, I agree with Karen in terms of you have 3 seconds to grab their attention, but it's about the content that you have to get that 3 second window. And that's why it's so important whenever I try to explain it like this, try to put yourself in your customer's shoes. What would you want to see if you were a customer of yourself and you were going to your website? What content would you want to see? Would you want to see a lot of text? Or would you want to see a picture? Would you want to see video? How are you going to communicate what it is you do within that 3 second window that you have? And then from there, going back to the 0 moment of truth, micro moments, and especially from a mobile device, we have things that happen. I tell people all the time, it's not like we really even go online anymore. It's like we live online. It's something that we don't, most people I know anyways, they don't go a day without not going online. And, I think when we identify, okay, well, this is the case with most people, they're not going to go a day or two and not get online unless maybe, they've had a circumstance happen where they're not able to. We have to, as marketers, understand that, well, that person's going to continue to search. And we as a brand or as a small business, we have to figure out what do our customers want that's going to create that loyalty to where we know, well, if they go to a competitor's website, what can we produce for them? Maybe it's a reward club or loyalty club or a discount or just some type of benefit that's going to create that trust where they're going to come back and visit us next time when they need that same product or service. So that's what I would add to that.
Exactly. So it's your own form of branding. And the master brands, the names that everyone's familiar with, are actually hurting here if they're not increasing their outreach to be a sustaining mobile, a social media campaign where they're actually engaging people as much as the little guy who is focusing on social media is engaging. The big brands can lose that war, and the small brands through social media are actually branding themselves and becoming the name that people will think of and will call when the actual need arrives. And one of the things I wanted to mention here is, like Bill Graham, we were all over in Blab and in Twitter, and he said 3 seconds. 3 seconds is less than 140 characters on Twitter. It sure as heck is. So that shows you how little time you actually have to do what you want to do. And then Kathy Pop was saying that she did a big campaign back in March, and then in late April, I did see a large increase in mobile-friendly sites, at least here in San Antonio. And if you're in the upswing of the marketing community, you're going to see people converting over, and you might be aware of those things. But it surprises me when I look at my own people who I've marketed to and built websites for in the past 2 or 3 years. And back then, I was doing mobile-friendly sites, I guess almost 3 or 4 years now. But before that, I wasn't building responsively. It sounds funny. I wasn't being responsible. Okay, anyway, but before that, I built hundreds of sites, and in contacting a lot of those people, it's like, well, no, nobody's progressing that way right now, or no one's asking me to be mobile friendly. I haven't had any feedback. So they're saying no to a pitch to go responsive because they think, oh, now Roland's trying to hit me up with a new lead to make himself some more money, when it was the must-have thing as of 3 years ago, and nobody's ready to convert. Nowadays, still 79% of people have not converted to mobile friendly. I'm amazed at the marketing industry when we come up with something that supposedly works and people are still sitting back and thinking, well, maybe it's a passing thing. What is the next thing after that? Or I don't want to do that. It's too much money. It's too much money to invest in your marketing plan to be mobile. Give me a break. So it surprises me how slowly the community of marketing people, how slowly they convert once they even know that they're supposed to do something. What do you have to
I
say?
actually want to chime in on that. I get that a lot, Roland. I have a set of clients that are pretty loyal to me, and they've pretty much stuck with me for their whole journey online. But I do occasionally come across a repeat client or even new clients that I'll come up with a proposal for them, and they'll go, wow, this is a lot of money to pay out to get to get me online, and this seems just like really expensive, and I don't know if it's worth it. And I usually counteract that with, this isn't a cost, this is an investment. This isn't a cost for your business, this is an investment in your business, because as like I pointed out earlier, people pretty much live online now. And it's one of the things that when your customer is out there, they have the inspiration of whatever product or service that they need. And then what they do from there is they go research that product or service. And then from there, they go through the customer journey, they go through the micro moments, they go through the zero moment of truth, and then even after they've made that purchase, we have something called, just the overall experience. What was their overall experience with your small business? Was it a pleasant one? And this is where I actually recommend that when somebody makes a purchase from you, whether it's online or in person, if you're a storefront, it doesn't matter. Send them a survey, email it to them, text it to them, find out what was their experience, because those insights are valuable, because we can find out, well, what happened when that person went through the checkout process. Were they satisfied with it? Was there something maybe I could have improved upon? Maybe they just have a recommendation. Maybe they think, oh, this is a really great product, and maybe you should do a special on it. And then I think, and this is the most important part of the customer experience, is the post-purchase, meaning what happens after they purchase it. Are you going to be there to answer their questions? Are you going to be there to pick up the phone? Are you going to be there to answer an email or a text that they may send to you? I think that is the most important part of the whole zero moment of truth, of the whole customer experience, is are you as a small business owner going to be there for your customer when they come back? And I know for myself, that's been my #1 priority when I take on a client, is I tell them all the time, I may not immediately respond to a voicemail or an email, but I will respond to it within 24 hours. And I think when you can assure your customers and clients that they can always reach out to you as a business owner, and you're going to supply the customer support that they want, because that's what they want from you. They trust you as a business. They trust you as a brand. They trust that the products and services that you offer are going to be the right products and services for them. And just to make sure that they have that positive customer experience, it is so important to interact with them and engage with them after the purchase.
That's probably one of the biggest lesson takeaways for the day. I think Karen has something that she's really anxious to say.
Yeah, I was going to chime in, back to the whole post-purchase. I mean, back to getting that review. I think it's so important now, back to what Molly was saying previously about testimonials and reviews, that if you can get that review and you can get your customer to fill out that survey, or even yet, if your business is up on Google Maps, they can easily review that there. And businesses in general, when you think about what you look for in terms of businesses, the more ratings that customer, that company has, that business has, the more likely you're going to actually pick up the phone and actually talk to that individual, because you feel that, well, they've got 4 stars out of 5 and they've got 50 reviews, so they must be legit. They must know what they're doing. You can kind of get a sense of, out of 50 reviews, what this business is like. And so when you see that, and the reviews do show up in all mobile, tablet, and desktop for businesses, and all that is basically an extension that you add on to with AdWords, and it's free. You can't go wrong. I mean, again, it goes back to the ability to get your customers, as a business, to get your customers to find you. So if you can advertise and pay for those hours where the the business is open and they're searching for that red t-shirt and they see you're like down the street from them and you're open at this moment, they're more likely to come and visit you. And so that's, to me, is key when you think about what mobile is about.
Really good. So I wanted to plant a picture for those listening who are thinking about forming a business or have a business idea, but you're starting at ground zero, you have no budget, and you're at level 1. And you're thinking, where do I get started and how do I get started? What do I do? And the concept should be basically this. What you can do, not what you can't do. If you don't have a budget, you can't pay for advertising, for instance. Even AdWords might not be attainable. So what do you do when you've got a zero budget? Well, first of all, you can establish yourself online. Websites can be had free. I don't recommend them, but you can establish a website for free. You can always transition into a better platform and a more improved you online, but you can get a website even for free. Then you need some clients. You need action. And part of that is what Molly was saying, emphasize reviews and testimonials. Well, how do you get reviews and testimonials if you're just getting started? And I will explain exactly right now. You find a client that you want to associate with and you give away your service. And you basically say, look, if I do this for you, will you give me a review? Tell me honestly what you think about the product and service and so forth. And then for free, you actually perform the service or at a discounted rate or at some kind of a budget concept that allows a person to buy in and see the value without having to have the reviews and the experience behind you. They'll take a chance because you're cheap enough. So whether you're free or discounted, you get that client to say yes. And then you produce the service or the product, and then the people are happy with you, you get a review or you get a testimonial. Now, if you do that 3 times, you can get on Google+, put this stuff up there, and apply the testimonials in your website and so forth, and have the stars and have an exposure on page 1 just by giving away services to 3 people. Now, if you can't invest in your business, you can still do it for free by doing what I just described. And basically, a lot of businesses started that way. Molly?
Yeah, I was going to quickly add to what you're talking about. Another way that Google or a business could get on Google or get on Google's radar if they have absolutely no budget to start with is to use Google Hangouts on air. Or it doesn't even have to be a live event. You could just do just a Google Hangout or video to just get on there, say, hi, my name's Molly, I'm a website designer, I'm in Jacksonville, Florida, I do graphic design and SEO. If you have any questions, let me know. And then take that video and market it. Put it on Facebook, put it on LinkedIn, put it on Twitter, put it on your, if you have an email list, tell people who you are and what you do. And I'll just quickly share with the audience, when I first went into business, I had nothing. I didn't even have an internet connection. I had a really old computer and I had a stack of books. That was it. And what I did is I built websites, I've worked on graphic design, I did it all myself. And then when I finally was able to get the budget to get on the internet, that's exactly what I did. I started going on Craigslist, I went on Facebook, I started offering, hey, I'd like to do a free logo for you, or hey, I'd like to set up your Facebook page for you, or hey, let me work on a side project that maybe you need help with. And then from there, what happened is I started to build a portfolio. And when I built a portfolio, when I got ready to go approach paying clients, I'd say, here's my portfolio. This is some work that I've done. You can contact these people, and they're going to tell you that, yeah, Molly did a great job on this, or yeah, Molly was very cost effective. And from there, and like Roland mentioned, ask for those reviews, ask for the testimonials, maybe even see if you can get some of your customers to record a testimonial. That way you can market that as well. And so these are some of the free ways that we can use to kind of get yourself going when it comes to starting a business, or if you're a startup and you're just kind of getting started out. These are different ways that you can use. They're free tools. There's Google Drive. That's another free tool that Google offers. There's the mobile-friendly test tool to see if your website's mobile-friendly. There's Page Insights. There's Search Console. There's all these tools out there that Google offers for free to help your business succeed. You just have to be aware of what they are. And I would recommend, if you're not familiar with all the different tools that Google offers, is you go search their help forums. They have literally a help forum for every single one of these tools that I'm mentioning. There's even one for Chrome if you're not familiar with the Chrome browser. Google's there to offer all of these tools to help you succeed online. And I think, kind of like what Roland's been doing for the last year, hosting these Hangouts every Saturday religiously, making sure that we talk about recent subjects and subjects that are going to help a small business succeed. That right there is an excellent form of marketing because he's out there helping people. He's helping this audience right now to learn about the different tools that are out there to help you succeed. So those are my insights. That was my takeaway is make sure and make use of all the free tools that Google offers to you.
Thank you, Molly. And by the way, thank you for the plug. But no, I appreciate it, and that's one of the things we can exemplify as we're talking about this whole concept. I've been doing this for a year. Nobody's paying me to do this, and we have pitched all of one time out of like 40 or 50 shows to tell about what we do personally. Otherwise, we talk about other people and other things, and that's the educational side of what we have going. That if you start off, even if it's free, you start off doing it and giving back to the people. It's like give first, but it's been the mantra from day one. You have to be willing to give first. Otherwise, don't try to follow me because I'm not going to lead you where you want to go. And we have a couple of additional statements here of people talking about our subject. And Kathy Pop says, Google is giving a 3-page website and domain for free for 1 year with GYOB, which is Google. I can't remember the
Get your
words.
business online.
Yeah.
What it stands for. Get your business
Okay.
online.
Yeah. Thank you. I tried it once and I realized that I don't need to do it, so I'm not gonna bother doing it. But it is a really good choice for people that need to get started. Beware, at the end of the year, you're gonna have to be doing more than just putting up a free website, but that's the way you get started. And then Carl Turacek was saying, I figured they would do it to return the favor, but it's best to ask, like Roland said. Well, absolutely. And if you're making a good relationship with the people and if you're giving them and doing things for them or giving them a budget solution to their problem, they're more likely to say, sure, I'll be more than happy to give you a testimonial. That's the testimonial you want anyway. You don't want to beg or borrow or talk people into a testimony when they don't, when their heart isn't into it, and they wouldn't do it naturally anyway. But if you've got a good relationship built up with the people and they appreciate what you've given them, you can say, by the way, I really appreciate it if you would say a little bit of stuff here. It would really help my business to have a comment from one of my customers, and they're going to be sure. I'll be glad to give it because you gave first, and that's what the whole concept of giving first is all about. And Molly, we can transition into that for a few moments, but we're almost ready to wrap up the show, and I've got a couple things. So go ahead and add in what you wanted to give.
Yeah, I just wanted to quickly add before we wrap up the show that another free tool that Google offers that is very valuable to a small business is Google Analytics. Google Analytics is very simple to get set up. You just go to Google Analytics and sign up. You just use your login credentials that you usually use with Google, get your website registered, and then you just copy and paste the snippet of code onto the web page, the back end of it, so it can track what happens, and then from there you can request a report, or you can just log in every day, and it's very important because you can see where are your users coming from. Are they geo to your specific location? Are they nationwide? Are they international? Say you can monitor your social media activity, you can monitor your AdWords activity. If you do some type of sale or campaign, you can monitor that as well. You can set up funnels, goals. There's so many, you can set up segments. There's so many different tools that Google Analytics offers that will give you the insights to know, okay, well, maybe I did this campaign, it went pretty good, but what can I do to improve it? Or we did this other campaign, it was horrible, we don't need to do that next time. So I just wanted to shout out, check out Google Analytics.
Yeah, thank you very much. And everything that we've been regurgitating out in mass production today during this hangout basically points people to readjusting the way they think about their marketing. And one of the things that I told people even as of a year ago, oh, by the way, Carl Richard has joined us, and thank you very much for watching and being here. But one of the things we were talking about a year ago is forget what you think you know, because the marketing industry is so different from what it was
Hmm.
a year ago, 2 years ago, even months ago, and it's evolving as we speak. So you don't want to get locked in on the concept and say, this is how I'm going to do it for the next 3 years, because you're going to lose that war. You're going to lose the battle. And rather than be with the battle and confront everything, you better get in the flow of things and choose some things that work and can morph along with the industry and with the consumer market as we go. So that's basically what we try to teach people to do. Wrapping up the concept of micro moments so that we really get an understanding of what micro moments do. I made a few notes copied right out of that video that we watched, and they define micro moments and they refer to them. Oh, I'm sorry, Karen. Before I continue on, let me give you a chance to speak. I just kind of got carried away.
Now, I was going to say was I don't have Comment Tracker working for me, as you know. Loanne had a really good comment, Roland, if you can see it. She stated at 11:29 a.m. today. Um, it basically she says, does our buying process depend on which generation we belong to? If so, we need to know a lot about our target. If so, we need to know a lot about our target client. And to answer that question, Loanne, yeah, you definitely need to understand the buying process for each generation, but yet it's changing as Roland was speaking in terms of marketing. Um, for the millennials, as we talked about before, their buying process is basically um, searching online and searching online, starting off with mobile, and then going back to desktop and going back and forth. But ultimately, it's that. The older generation, I hate to sounds terrible, but anyone after, I think what a millennial is, what, 30, 35 now? Is that what a millennial is? The age is now?
It's I think 18 to 32.
32,
Yeah.
something like that. Then
Yeah.
there's just, yeah, so it's like Gen Y and then Gen X and then Boomers. Um, the telltale sign is how the millennials are shopping now, and that's really going to dictate kind of like with the rest of us of how we are, because it's marketers and companies are going to basically gravitate towards them first, and to get them to to purchase. And I think for the rest of us, I mean, all of our shopping and what we do for research is changing so dramatically back to that ZMOT and back to the micro moments that, yes, definitely, low end, you need to know what your target client, how they shop and what they do.
Thank you. Molly, did you have another thing to add to that?
I did. I would actually say that not only is it applicable to different generations, but it's also applicable to multiple devices. Most
Mm-hmm.
people don't depend just on a mobile phone or just on a laptop, or just on a desktop or a tablet. They're using a variety of different devices, and I'd even say above and beyond that, mobile search has now gone into the double digits, and it's growing and growing and growing, and it's not going away. And so that's why, going back to the mobile friendly, responsive, it is so important for you to take your marketing budget and invest it in a mobile friendly design, because as Karen pointed out early in our conversation, you have 3 seconds to catch their attention, and if you don't catch their attention and it's not mobile friendly, they're gone. You've already lost the customer before you even had a chance. And I think from a marketing perspective, that's a pretty important thing. It give your customer at least the opportunity to get on your website, to look around and search and find out what it is you have to offer, because if you cut them off before they even enter the site, it just seems like a backwards way of trying to market yourself online. And even if you have to do without something to save the money, make sure you have a mobile friendly design. It is worth the investment.
Yeah, I mean, back to Kathy, a pop, as she said, is that if they can't find you, I mean, you've lost the game. If they can't even find you online, you've lost it. I mean, there's just no opportunity there.
And that's why it's so important to figure out, what can I do as a small business. Now, I'm going to share a tip with the audience that I very rarely share with my clients. But this is a way you can get online very quickly at very little cost. It's just an investment of time. Google Plus is Google's social platform. YouTube is Google's video platform. So it makes sense to me that Google's going to give preferential treatment to posts on Google Plus and videos on YouTube. So here's a tip. Record a video, use keywords that are relevant to what somebody would type in search, and your video will get indexed. That's a way to get on page 1 very quickly. I've seen this happen regularly. I actually have a client who tells me, Molly, I get more business from my video than I do my website. Now, tip number 2, start posting to Google Plus and use keywords that are relevant to your product or service. Guess what? That post is going to get indexed. That post is going to show up when somebody in your geolocation is going to look for your product or services. Those are 2 ways that you can get on page 1 relatively quickly without even having a website. So take those little nuggets and use them, because I don't share that information with a lot of people because it's something that I had to figure out on my own. I've done a lot of testing over the last year on what's the most effective way for me to show up on page 1. Well, my posts show up, my videos show up. Now, my website is optimized for search, but as I mentioned earlier, it takes 6 months to a year for your website to get indexed organically. So we have to figure out as business owners, what can I do right now? What can I do to get my business on page 1? Because that space on page 1 is like gold. That is what everybody wants. They all want to be on page 1. And I might add, if you're a local service, make sure and optimize your website for local, meaning make sure your maps is optimized. Google My Business, that's something we didn't even touch upon today, but it's very important to get on Google My Business. It's free. It takes maybe 30 minutes to go on there, add your information, add a few pictures, add some context to what you're trying to market, and get yourself on page 1. That is your overall goal as a small business owner.
And I've been preaching this since day 1 with my internet marketing tripod, your website, and Google Plus, and YouTube video. And I've been trying to get the message across for instance, of my own testimony. A client of mine, we built his website, we got his Google Plus going, we got a video going, and we literally SEO the whole process top to bottom. But we posted the video in his Google Plus stream, and the post itself featuring his video showed up in Google Plus on page 1 in his keywords and 3rd position in 30 minutes. And the only reason it couldn't have been less than 30 minutes is I didn't check before 30 minutes was up. I mean, I should have been watching from the 5-minute mark, because as soon as Google posted that and indexed the post, it was there. It was before people's eyes. So how much more instantaneous on page 1 of Google can you get than 30 minutes? Well, you know, if we had a bunch of campaigns going, we could probably prove some very much narrower statistics than that. So let's wrap that up real quick, and then I had one final statement. What do you think, you guys?
Well, I think, back to that whole Google Plus and the page, it's basically you definitely have to make sure that you have all your content filled, as Molly and Roland was saying, because it will show up. If someone's searching for you in your business and you've filled out what you need for Google Plus, and that links back to Google Maps, even your hours will show up, as they're searching for you.
I would like to quickly add to this to go do a competitive analysis of your competitors. Go online and type what you think a user is going to type to find your business. Find out what your competitors are doing and then improve upon that. And I actually did a test for myself. I've been doing it for about a year or so now, but I'll just go type in website design Jacksonville, Florida. Go see what my competitors are doing. And even just as of this week, I typed it, and none of them are doing posts, none of them are doing videos, and I'm not saying cornering the market, but let's just say I've got 2 posts on that page 1. And here's something else about posts that are different about organic results. A post shows your avatar, your picture. And studies have shown that when a user looks at a search and they see all these organic, text results, when somebody sees a post and they see a picture of a person, bam, they immediately gravitate towards that picture, because it's proven psychologically that if somebody can visualize something versus, say, looking at plain text, they're going to go to, they're just automatically going to go to that picture first. And I know I did that myself. I would just pop, looking around, and I was like, wow, I went right to my picture in my post versus going through all the other organic results. So that's another benefit that you can do by doing your post on Google+.
Okay, a lot of stuff going on in the comment stream. I'm glad everybody has been considering the engagement here. But relative to something that Dr. Margaret says, and we don't have time to cover it today, but I'm showing this so that maybe we readdress this next week. Google Maps, how does one best apply this if one works from home and does not have a brick and mortar business? And I think that that's a question that a lot of people will want to ask. So thank you, Dr. Margaret. We'll get back to you on that. I wanted to do that. And just so that we connect the dots here, and what Karen was saying a little while ago, Carl Turacek, I would be offended being called a millennial. So, okay, so I wanted to give him voice there. And before I go on with comments, to wrap up the concept of micro moments and to give some flesh and blood on it so that people can understand what exactly a micro moment is, it was defined in these 4 statements regarding what micro moments are. It's the moment that the people decide, the consumer decides, I want to know, I want to go, I want to do, or I want to buy. Those are the instant qualifiers regarding the consumer's thinking what they want to do. So if you enable them to know, enable the answer to I want to know, or the answer to I want to go as far as a destination, or I want to do what the process that will actually solve their problem or give them a solution to their question in their mind or their need, or I want to buy. When you're around when they are asking those questions or they're solving those needs, that's when you have a sale opportunity or a buy opportunity. So those are the micro moments that make a difference of steering towards your product and you as a business and your sale. So a last comment. Oh, and a couple of them. One of the things that I thought was really important was by the time the customer walks through the store, the door of your store, they already know the product or service that they are desiring. They already know what they want to buy. It's not a matter of looky-loo window shopping. And then the additional thing is the customer already knows whether they want to do business with you. So when the people contact you, that's a pretty good sign. But it's not a matter of, gee, I'll put myself out there and they might contact me. They know with their research before the ZMOT whether they want to do business with you. So get that into your heads that the pre-designed campaign with the engagement, answering questions, making suggestions for solutions is imminent. It's very, very important before the people decide that they want to buy, because your education about what you do and what you offer may very well determine the people's decision to go into the mode of ZMOT. I want to buy that.
Yeah, I mean, Roland, I mean, when you think about it, shoppers today we're much more sophisticated than we were even 5 years ago. I mean, if we're spending that much time looking at 12 different resources on red t-shirts, right? By the time that person is either online at that site or physically at that store, they're ready to buy. I mean, because they've done all the work. You don't even have to convince them.
Exactly.
And so if you basically have done all your research and you are the best that you are and they have trust in you, when you think about it, you're gonna have much more loyal customers than you've ever had in the past. When you think about it too, with the amount of research people do. And if you have a great experience, they're going to be your raving fans, and they're going to be talking about you to their friends and family about how great those red t-shirts are.
I
That's actually
totally
moving.
agree with what you're saying, Karen. I just quickly want to add, one of the things we want to do as a small business is we want to earn our customers' authority and trust. We want our customers to think that we are an authoritative expert on whatever product or service you're offering, and we want them to be able to trust us, because when we create that trust with customers, they're not only going to come back to us and be loyal to us, they're going to go out and shout your praises. They're going to go, you know what, if you need to go to Saturday Morning Marketing Smarties. They are the best place. That I had this great experience with them. They
Yay!
are trustful. I want to let you know that you should go to them to get that red t-shirt.
Thank you, Molly. So I wanted to drop another hint that we've been talking about the zero moment of truth, the ZMOT, but in the scheme of the discussion regarding marketing, there is also a first moment of truth and a second moment of truth, which we won't cover today. But maybe your takeaway is that consumers today are less brand loyal, and they'll be more loyal regarding the relationships they build up than the brands that are putting all their ads out there and paying millions of dollars to show people that they're the best, while the customer decides for themselves who is best for them, and it may not be that brand. So that's just something to keep in mind, because people rely on reviews and recommendations more than your ad. So as a takeaway from that and the concept of relationships, Bill had a concept that should be spoken. And he says, forget about the system of how to keep my customer and think about how to relate to keep your friends. And so with that, I think that we'll wrap it up and say goodbye for the day. I thank you all for being with us on Saturday Morning Marketing Smarties. We're 8 minutes overtime, and you can't shut us up. And I thank you, Karen and Molly, for your contributions. And I want to say good day to everybody. Thank you for joining us on Saturday Morning Marketing Smarties. Oh, wait a minute. Before I go, I wanted to plug a show that I cashed in on this week called The Death Chicks. And Misty Lynn and Patty Burgess Brecht, they run a fabulous show, and it's very misleading when you consider the name of the show. So get over it, go watch the show, and visit the Death Chicks. They're all over the internet with Google Plus and advertising. They really are a caring bunch of people. They have great guests on the show, and they make a difference for people on a very, very difficult subject. But before you decide that the Death Chicks is not for you, watch it sometime and take it from there. And I'm actually going to post their last episode in the comment stream after we're done, and I encourage you to watch it, because they're not what you think they are, but they are really a great show. So thus is my ending of Saturday Morning Marketing Smarties. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week. Oh, announce next week's Hangout. What about next week's Hangout?
Yeah, I just quickly want to announce, are we going to continue talking about the ZMOT, or what's up for next week?
Oh, I don't know. We'll think of something. All right. Good day, everybody. Bye-bye.